Hi, everyone. Welcome to our New to South Family Night. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the evening that you were giving up just to learn a little bit more about our school and our structures. So thank you so much for being here. I am just watching that number count of participants tick up, and I am going to wait for it to go up a little bit more before we officially start the evening. But once again, for those of you who are here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for giving us your evening. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here just to learn a little bit more about our school and all the wonderful things that Newton South has to offer. Looks like our participants are steadying out a little bit. We have a little bit over 100 people. All right, I think we are good to start. A little bit over 100 people. So like I said, welcome everybody. Welcome to our New to South Family Night. I'm so excited to have all of you here so you can learn a little bit about our school. For those of you who don't know, my name is Tammy Stras. I am the principal of Newton South High School. It has been my honor and privilege to be the principal here. This is my 4th year. I have done many things in my past life, from assistant principal to being a teacher to being a department chair. Newton South is what I call my home away from home now, and that is an absolute privilege. So without further ado, I am going to hand this on to the man who is currently controlling all of the technology that you see and who makes everything kind of happen behind the scenes at Newton South High School, who I am indebted to immensely, my vice principal, Jason Williams.
That was quite a bit of hype. Not sure if I'm ready for that. But hi, everybody. I'm Jason Williams. I'm the vice principal here at Newton South. This is also my 4th year. Tammy and I rode in together, and it's been a super awesome time. So as Tammy mentioned, we're super thankful that you took time out of your busy evenings to be with us today, to learn more from our deans, from our counselors, our really amazing staff. So again, welcome. And I want to hand it off to a few other important people as well who also want to introduce themselves, starting with our PTSO, Maggie Schmidt and Barbara Tavatia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maggie Schmidt. I see Barbara's on here too. Barbara, do you want to say hi?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Barbara Talvatia. Nice job on the last name, Jason. No one ever gets that right.
Barbara and I are the co-presidents of the Newton South PTSO this year. And the PTSO stands for the Parent Teacher Student Organization. So every parent, every teacher, every family member, every student is automatically a member of the PTSO. So welcome to Newton South. Welcome to joining us. Our primary job, as Barbara and I see it, is to build community, to support our teachers and our administration, and to provide communication to you as families and to support our students. So we encourage all of you, if you aren't already receiving our Sunday newsletters, we try and send them just on Sundays at 6 p.m., to go sign up for that. You can do that on our website, which is listed right there, newtonsouthptso.org. If you go to the right-hand column, the right-hand side of the website, you'll see a column where you can sign up for your newsletter, and you can pick your student's class, so you can get some targeted emails that are just for that class. If you ever have questions, reach out to us. Barbara and I have a lot of collected years at Newton South and in the Newton Public Schools. We both have graduates of Newton South. Barbara has 2, I have 1. We currently have each 1 kid at South, and we each have 1 more coming in. So we are here to answer your questions. We are here to be a connection and a liaison between you and the school. And we're really excited to partner with you. We don't do this all on our own. We have a lot of volunteers. We have more than a dozen volunteer committees, and we welcome everyone to join us at every level that you can, be it a couple hours a month or a couple hours over the course of the year. So please watch our emails and look for ways to engage with us, to be in the school, to help out, to kind of do what you can, because this only works if we all do it together. Barbara, do you want to add some information?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thanks, Maggie. I'm putting the website and our email address into the chat so that you guys can easily download it. And this is my first year as co-president, so I'm excited to join you as new to South in terms of that. But as Maggie said, we've had a number of kids go through the system. I have 4 daughters myself, and I have a junior at South right now and an 8th grader. So I hope to be here for a long time. And I can't say enough great things about being a part of the PTSO. And it is such a great opportunity to volunteer and really be able to see a snapshot of your children's lives and put some faces to names when you are interacting with the staff and the kids at the school. So think about joining us, and I look forward to meeting new people.
Yeah, we look forward to meeting you all. Back to you, Jason.
Thank you so much. Just want to double check to see if either Becky Harris or Melissa Waltuck are here for the boosters.
I'm here. Melissa's here.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Waltuck, and along with my co-president, Becky Harris, we are representing the Newton South Booster Club. The Booster Club can be thought of as the PTSO for the athletics. The Booster Club is dedicated to supporting our athletes, coaches, teams, and the entire athletic department here at Newton South. Our mission is to foster school and community spirit while also enhancing the experiences for everyone involved in our athletic programs. We actively contribute to help raising funds, organizing events, and providing volunteers. Our goal is to strengthen our athletic programs and create a vibrant and spirited atmosphere for all of our students, families, and the fans of Newton South athletics. One of our key activities is running the concession stand. So you'll see us at the home games during during football and sometimes soccer, basketball. We'll be at the concession stands there. We also sell spirit wear and promote spirit within the school. You'll see us in action at the Celebrate South at the end of October, along with the PTSO, where we collaborate to boost all school spirit across all grades during the school day and after school during some of the athletic events. And then you'll also not want to miss our Lion 5K, which is in the spring. It's a huge event. We usually have about 400 to 500 participants, and the superintendent and mayor are usually there to cheer everyone along. This year, we're excited about our membership pass program for the athletics. This program offers students and families an affordable way to attend all home football and basketball games. With the membership pass, you'll avoid buying an individual ticket every time, and you'll also get a special line to go in to enter the games. To stay up to date on all of our activities for the athletics, you can sign up for the Booster Club newsletter. You'll find that on the PTSO webpage where you sign up for the PTSO newsletter. You can also click on getting the Booster Club newsletter as well. And we hope we have a fantastic year filled with spirit and community involvement. Go Lions! And I'm going to pass it off to Star for the global program in the Gulf.
Sorry to interrupt, Star. Jason, there were 3 questions for the PTSO in the chat. How do you want to handle questions? Do you want me to just fire those off right now?
Yeah, since they are PTSO related, I think we have a minute to do that. Sure.
Okay. I'll make it real quick. The first question was, how can students participate in the PTSO? And that's great. Students can come to request a meeting with us if they have an initiative or something they want to do at school. We can work to partner with them to see how we can engage and support it. Last year, for example, we had a student who wanted to start a new art competition, who did start a new art competition, who need a little extra funding for the prizes. We were able to offer donations to fund the prizes. We've worked with students to help do cleanups. We've worked with students. We work pretty directly with students on the school council. It's kind of up to them to figure out how they want to partner with us, and we're always there. We're excited to meet with them. We hear a lot of great ideas. Sometimes it's a fit for us, and sometimes we can direct them in the right direction where it might be a better fit, but we love working with the students. What is the process to be a co-president? Our co-presidents are elected by our PTSO board, and that happens in the spring. During the year, we will put out a call for volunteers, and as the spring rolls around, we will put out a big call for all volunteers, and we have people who reach out to us to say, hey, I'm good at this, hey, I'm good at that. Sometimes we have to do a little recruiting on our own, but we as a board, vet and recruit and vote in the new board for the school year, and that includes the co-presidents. And then what is the way to receive only targeted emails which are related to my kids' class? We, the PTSO, we try to send one email a week on Sundays. It's to our whole community. It is related to everything that is going on in the school. So hopefully it is related to your student's class. I don't think you can only opt into just your student's year on our particular MailChimp program. So I'm not sure how to help with that one, but thank you for asking.
Thank you, Maggie. Star, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Star Lu, and I am going to talk about the Global Exchange Program and travel programs and the financial aid. Next, please, Jason. So this is the new Newton South website, and in order to find more information about global education programs, it's listed under academics. Next, please. So at Newton South, we offer the following exchange or trip programs. One is for Spanish programs. The first one is Argentina exchange for 2 weeks. And for French language, we have a French exchange program as well. And we have a very special program called UNESCO conference. And between North and South, we have 2 programs. One is China Exchange and one is Prague Summer. And China Exchange is 4 months long, and it's the first exchange program between US and China of the country. And Prague Summer is 3 weeks, and both programs will bring both Newton South and Newton North students. Next one, please, Jason. So this is what it looks like with each exchange. Our website is being transferred right now. So I apologize that these beautiful files are not available yet until the technology department figured out all these little things. So please be patient with me. Next, please. So some families may find the exchange trips beyond their family the affordable level. For that, we have the Global Education Leadership Fund, short form is GELF. And GELF provides financial aid scholarship for students and families who would like to go on to international travel program, but they need some financial help. So next, please. So this year, please mark your calendar. We are going to have a financial aid, GELF and Jingshan exchange program co-organized celebration, which is this month. And the celebration is, we invited a world-renowned performance group from Beijing, and the performance itself is free, but we'll appreciate it if any donation could be made so that our students are able to go on to exchange trips. Next, please, Jason. So the date is Saturday, September 21st. Time is 6:30 p.m. Location is going to be at Newton North High School auditorium. Next, please. So we have one student who recorded a video testimony of how GELF has supported him with his exchange trip. Let's listen to that. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, you can't hear it?
Yeah, no, I can't hear it.
You know, everybody, it did work when we were doing the practice run. I promise you. We're going to try this 1 second.
The French trip for Newton South High School. And I would like to say that This Guelph grant was an opportunity enabler. It allowed me to take this trip that I would otherwise not have been able to do. And I think fondly upon this trip, especially with my interactions with the Parisians and just being with them and hanging out with them as teenagers in a big city. I remember playing basketball with them, going to my correspondence basketball practice, and bonding with other Parisians over the sport of basketball. And to be honest, I didn't really understand what they were all saying during practice or what all the drills meant. But just being able to play basketball, shooting hoops, and bonding over that was an experience that otherwise I would not have been able to feel without this Guelph grant. So I'd like to say that with further donations towards Guelph, you're helping students and future generations to become world leaders and to be immersed in other cultures, giving them a more nuanced perspective on the world.
So let me quickly talk about our activities or events from the previous 2 years. Last year, we had a Guelph community gathering at Barrymore at Newton Center. And our board members and school administrators all met with our community members, and we had a celebration. So I'm going to shout out to the board members of Guelph who represent Newton South. They are Raksha Dedlani, David Favaza, Sungdae Hong, Carrie Michael, and Wendy Shu. We are also looking for student representatives from Newton South as well. So if your child is interested, or if you think that it will benefit the program by getting involved yourself, please let me know. Next slide, please, Jason. So from 2022 to 23, we had a Guelph fundraiser at WPS. Next, please. And the director from WPS, Laura Tavares, is also our Newton South parent. Next, please. If you would like to get involved with Guelph or global programs, please let me know, and you can participate in fundraising event committee, community outreach committee, and big donor board members, or last one, please, Jason, corporate sponsorship. Next, please. So this is my email here, LEWY, and the following is the same as other Newton emails. And please let me know if you're interested in joining any of our volunteer work or getting to know more about the global programs. I saw some questions in the chat right now. Jason, would you like me to answer them quickly, or do you want me to hold?
I think we can just hold for just a little bit, just to get the other introductions off, and then see where we are towards the end of the night, if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Or I can type the answer to.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that one. Yes, please do that.
So I'll type the chats in, and next up are the 4 deans from Newton South. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Martin. I'm the Dean of Wheeler House at Newton South High School. There are 4 houses at South, and within those houses, there are a number of guidance counselors, and each house has a dean. The dean is sort of the administrator assigned to your student for the 4 years that they're at Newton South High School. It's my privilege to honor the 3 and announce and introduce the 3 guidance counselors at Wheeler House at Newton South High School. I'm going to introduce them. They're going to give you a little bit about themselves and a tip for your student at South. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Miss Shira Limmer.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. This is my 4th school year at South. We have a wonderful school environment, and I hope that your kids are adjusting really well. One of the big questions that comes up for my students so far is, what should I do if I think that I am in the wrong level of my class? So we always tell students to start with a conversation with their teacher. They know which way the course is going. They know they have a better sense of how the child is performing. and it's the best starting point. If your student still isn't comfortable with that answer, they should reach out to the department chair for that subject, and they can always come see their guidance counselor so we can talk that through and we can help them craft that email if they're not sure how or what to say. We would certainly be happy to help them with that. I will pass it along to Aaron Lewis.
Good evening, everybody. I am Aaron Lewis. I am a counselor in Wheeler. I've been a counselor in Newton since the past century, late 90s, so it's been a long time. I am happy to be back this year, and I'm excited for the year to come. One of the questions that I get very often from my students over the years is, how do I keep organized? A few years ago, South moved to G Suite, which just helps students stay organized. Students and teachers are now using Google Docs and Forms, calendar and email. And most teachers use Schoology, as they did in the middle school in Newton, as the platform for assignments and grades. Some students still use, very few. I'm one of those people that still uses a planner. I write down everything for myself to keep organized, and really use it works. And we're here to help. I'm going to pass it along to Hey Choi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Hey Choi, and I'm one of the guidance counselors in Wheeler House, and I also work with students in Goldrick House. And the question that I want to address is, often students come and say, hey, what should I do when I'm feeling confused in class? How can I go about getting help from my teacher? So when students share that they're feeling confused or behind in a class, and they don't feel comfortable asking a question in class, I would advise them to just jot down what it is that seems to be confusing them, and then to meet with their teacher to get some help. Students can first reach out to their teachers by email or Schoology to schedule a mutually convenient time. And then, I think teachers are more than happy to address any concerns or any confusion that students have. If students are finding it challenging to meet with teachers, then we are here to and happy to help support and facilitate that for the students. And I guess that's it for our Wheeler counselors, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Mark Banks, Dean of Goldrick House.
Thank you, Hay. So hello and welcome all ninth grade and new to South parents. My name is Mark Banks. I'm the Dean of Goldrick House. I am so excited to have the ninth graders and new students at school. It has been awesome. I have been a dean for 13 years, and I am looking forward to this year and working with your students. So with that being said, I will hand it off to our first Goldrick guidance counselor, Christina Brown.
Hello. Hi, welcome. Thanks everyone for being here. My name's Christina Brown. This is my 6th year here at South, always in the Goldrick House. So happy to be here. Something I hear from students is, am I doing everything that I need to be doing to set myself up for these 4 years of high school and beyond, college, career, etc.? So the answer is yes. We're very intentional about where we place our 9th graders, and we make sure that they are taken care of and everybody's watching out for them. This year, you'll probably hear more about our 9th grade clusters. So we are, really sort of making sure that all of your students are, have a home here at Newton South, home away from home. So yeah, just we encourage students to really settle in, get to know other students in their classes, really reach out and join clubs, sports, do activities. There are a lot of things that are just for 9th graders, some 9th grade sports and activities. And so definitely you're doing what you need to do. So just kind of be here and be present. I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Jim Medeiros.
Hey, everybody. Hello.
You're good. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi there, everybody. Good evening. My name is Jim Medeiros, and I am a guidance counselor in Goldrick House. And it is my 18th year at Newton South. So I'm really excited to join you this evening, to welcome you. And I especially look forward to welcoming my new ninth graders and helping them navigate the school year. One question we often get from students, all counselors usually get this question, is how do I set up a time to meet with you? How do students set up that time to meet with us if they need to speak with us? And the best way to set up a time is for students to contact their guidance counselor directly through the NPS Gmail or through Schoology message. Either Schoology or Gmail is a perfectly good way to communicate with us. One thing they often ask is when can they meet with us? Students typically meet with their counselors when they have a directed study on their schedule. If students do not have a directed study, they can meet with us during Lion Block on Tuesdays or during lunch blocks throughout the week. Sometimes counselors will meet with students before or after school. But really, it is best practice for the student to just reach out to their guidance counselor so that we can coordinate a good time to meet with them. How do students reach us if they have a question or concern? The best way, really, as I said, is to use the system, the Gmail system, or Schoology message. Really, the best way is the Gmail that they are assigned to contact us. Those are just, it is really the best way to get in touch with us. Students can also stop by our office in person. We love it when they come by and stop by and check in with us. And depending on the circumstances, might be able to meet with them right in that moment, or we might need to coordinate another time that works best for both of us. So once again, just happy to be here and welcome you all to Newton South. I will now hand this on to our fearless leader, Dan Rubin.
Hey, everyone. And I'm going to keep this brief because you're going to hear from me again in just a moment. But one of the questions that I routinely hear is, I didn't go to, oh, and I'm sorry, I jumped right into the question. I'm Dan Rubin. This is my 10th year as the department chair for counseling at South. And again, you're going to hear a little bit more from me. So I didn't want to spend too much time talking about that. But I have ninth graders this year in Goldrick House. I also have students on my caseload in Goodwin House. And as I mentioned, one of the questions that comes up often from new students is, I'm new to Newton South, either as a ninth grader or for some of you, your students might be coming in as a 10th, 11th, or 12th grade transfer student. And I just don't know how to meet people and I want to feel more connected. I want to share just a couple of facts. One is that we have enrolled since the spring 105 students that did not attend a Newton public school last year for the 23-24 school year. So across our building of just over 1,900 students, over 100 students are in that same shared experience of being brand new to the school. About half of whom are ninth graders and half of whom are distributed across 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So while many students might feel like they're the only one who doesn't know a lot of other people, as counselors, we hear frequently from students and from their families. So our New to South Club that will be meeting during WIN blocks, I believe it's going to be WIN 1, and Ms. Veely can confirm that in just a moment. But we encourage participation. We actually pre-sign students up for New to South through MyFlex Learning, which you'll hear more about later. And if after a couple of weeks students are finding their way, they don't have to continue to attend the New to South Club, but many students really kind of find their first community there. So that's something that we would strongly recommend, but also just that knowledge that no one is alone in sort of feeling that newness, that high school is a new beginning for everyone, no matter what grade they're coming in at. And I think right now I am turning it over to Ted D'Alessandro, the Dean of Cutler House.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. My name is Ted Alejandro. I am the Dean of Cutler House. This is my second year. I've been at Newton South for 23 years. My first 21 were as a special education teacher. Quick note, Mr. Medeiros, although he's a Goldrick House counselor for the ninth graders, for any new to South 11th or 12th graders, you could also be a counselor in the Cutler House. Also, Ari Kenyon, one of our guidance counselors in Goodwin and Cutler House, is coaching right now. She's coaching the sub-varsity women's soccer team, so she's unable to make it. With that said, I'd like to introduce you to one of my Cutler House guidance counselors, and that's Donna Siegel.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome. I'm so glad to be here tonight. My name is Donna Siegel, and I have been at Newton South for 22 years. It's been so nice this week to feel the energy of the ninth graders, and it's been great just to meet them. One of the questions that I think all of us hear, and we haven't been in school for very long, so they haven't really experienced what it's like to have a canceled class. We haven't had too many absences, I don't think. But they ask often, like, what happens when I have a canceled class? Where do I go? What do I do? And also they ask a second question, which is, if I don't have a class, can I just go anywhere? Is it my free time? So I'll answer the first question. When a class is canceled, students are expected to report to the student center, the lecture hall, or the auditorium, where they're supervised by adults. When students basically, have free time, whether it's like lunch, there are specific areas where we've designated for them to eat lunch. And they can't leave campus. Ninth graders can't leave campus, but no ninth graders should have free blocks. They're all supposed to be scheduled. One of the things that students can do during directed study is get a pass from the directed study teacher. There are a certain amount of passes that the directed study teachers can issue, and students can go to the library, or they could go to any of our academic support centers like the Math Center, Science Center, or Writing Center, which hopefully will be up and running soon. The one thing I've been told many times by librarians is that if students come to the library with a pass, they really need to stay there for the whole block. So that would be a scenario from where they're coming, like if they're in a directed study. I hope that's addressed everything, and I am passing it on to, is it Goodwin?
Yes, thank you.
Actually, you forgot me.
We need Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Hardiman.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is Chris
I'm so
Hardiman.
sorry. I didn't see you on my screen and I zoned out.
No
Sorry.
problem. So,
How could I
hi
forget
everyone,
you?
I'm Chris Hardiman. This is my 13th year at Newton South. I have some Goldrick students in the upper grades and ninth grade Cutler students. And one very common question that we get right at the beginning of the year is how do I get involved in clubs? And it's actually something that we encourage as a school for students to get involved, whether it's athletics or student activities. We have over 100 clubs, and I'm happen to be the club coordinator as well. So I'm one of the people that sends out information to students. In fact, today they just got an email announcing that there's two club fairs, because we have so many clubs, we have to spread it out over 2 days. September 17th, Tuesday, during Lion Block in the Student Center. And then the following Tuesday, the September 24th, is the second one. And I put out information about how students can start their own club if we don't already have a club that that meets their needs. And so there's a lot of information out there. With the website redesign, I think the club's specific web page has disappeared. It may have come back, but you could do a search and I think you could find it, but eventually it will appear. And that's where the list of all of the clubs and the categories will be eventually. So we encourage students to get involved. Clubs meet Tuesday, Lion Blocks, and students sign up for clubs at the club fair, and they'll get to be on mailing lists at that point from the club leaders. And every club has a faculty advisor that oversees the activities as well. So it's always a great way to get involved. Our clubs are robust and diverse, and we encourage everyone to join. So now we're going to pass it off to Caitlin Brown, Dean of Goodwin.
Thank you so much, Chris, and sorry for interrupting you. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Brown, and I am the Dean of Goodwin House. This is my second year at Newton South. I am thrilled to have students back in the building, and I'm thrilled to be here again at Newton South. Prior to my time at South, I was a teacher, a athletic director, a assistant principal, and a principal. But I'm really feel at home at South. So I just wanted to mention we have 4 counselors in the Goodwin House office. 2 of the counselors are coaching. One of them is Ari Kenyon, as Mr. Del Condro mentioned. The other one is Dave Kershaw. He's on the golf. They're playing Newton North today for their first golf match. So I am going to turn it over to Sarah Style, but before I do that, I also want to mention Kimberly Borgita. She is our special education department chair. She's a wonderful resource for families. She could not be here tonight, but we wanted to mention her and the great work that her department does. So Sarah Style, I will turn it over to you.
Caitlin. Thanks everyone for being here. So I'm Sarah Style. This is my 12th year at Newton South. And like so many people have said, it has been really great to have students back in the building and the 9th grade energy and meeting a lot of new transfer students. It's just been a great week. So one of the questions that I hear from students a lot is, what steps do I take if I'm not feeling well emotionally, or if I'm worried about a friend's emotional wellness? And I encourage students to seek out a trusted adult. Now, I know it's early for a lot of students, and so they're just now building those relationships. Every student has a school counselor. Every student has a dean. They all have a whole bunch of different teachers. And so what we've noticed is students start to get comfortable. So I encourage students to reach out to a trusted adult and to keep in mind that we are very accustomed to responding to, when students are worried about their own emotional wellness, when they don't feel good. And also when they are worried about a friend, if they notice that a friend is not themselves and seems to be down or seems to be more distracted than usual. So just know that that is our response. Counselors, teachers, deans, the nursing team. We have 2 wonderful nurses, and Nurse Bailey, the dog, is there. So we encourage students to reach out and to speak up if they're not feeling well emotionally, or if they're worried about a friend. And I think I'm passing it to my colleague, Cara Veely.
Kara, I see you here. Are you able to unmute?
I'm so sorry. I started talking and I will start again. So I'm Cara Veely. I am a counselor in Goodwin House. This is my 18th year at South. And I'm very excited to be here. I've had so much fun meeting all the new kids this week. And instead of answering a new question, I'm gonna just follow up on a couple of things, the clubs and the new to South. So I just want to say, there's lots of, it's not just our opinion, that you should get involved. There's lots of research out there that says that the kids who feel most connected to school and like school the most have a niche club, a sports team, play, something where they get involved. So, anything you can do to encourage your new to South 9th grade or new to South student to find a niche, join a club is really important for feeling, connected to school. There's great freshman plays, there are 9th grade sports teams, there's so many clubs, just it's a great opportunity. And then I want to elaborate on New to South a little more. I happen to be the advisor to the New to South Club, and Dan talked about it. So thank you, Dan, for the great introduction. Our first meeting is Wednesday during Win 1, and we will, as Dan said, pre-invite on MyFlex Learning all the transfer students. And There'll be a lot of kids there the first meeting. It'll be, all 105, but then after that, it settles down to like 30 or 40. Still a very robust group. We meet in the Goodwin conference room. I wrote a grant a couple of years ago and got a bunch of board games. We have cards, we have board games. We have some nice welcoming students, some of whom were new to South themselves, some of whom have been here for a while, but just love welcoming people. It really is a nice group of kids, and there are kids from all over the world. I have kids who have moved here from, many international countries. I have kids who've moved here from other states, kids from Newton who are coming from private school. So I just wanted to put in a plug that we have a really nice, welcoming community. That's it. So I'll pass it to my office neighbor, Dave Kerr. Oh no, Dave is doing golf right now. So who's next?
That would be Dan Rubin, I believe.
Okay, here's Dan Rubin, our department chair.
And just like that, it's boomeranged back to me. Thanks, Kara. So, you've heard a lot of information already, and part of the reason that we're sharing so much information about some of these parent communities that exist within the larger South community is that we really value building those connections. And that's, if there's a single theme that tonight is about, hopefully it's just educating where are the opportunities that we will try to be proactive in reaching out to partner with you to build a better, richer community for your students. But we also, want to know that if there are ways that, you want to experience being a part of this parent community that we need to, sort of learn from, that we're here as your partners in that journey. So, one of the things that I often hear is as you progress from elementary school to middle school to high school, there are some things that are true. Students become more independent. The level of engagement and depth of engagement with the school community, can sometimes decrease. And sometimes I've heard people say that high schools are, sort of can worry people as these sort of large institutions. And what I would say is, even though we're no longer, the neighborhood school the way that an elementary school might be, that if we're doing our job well, we've just made a much bigger neighborhood. And part of the reason that I'm sharing that analogy or that metaphor is just the idea that every student is going to navigate that neighborhood differently, right? Every student's Newton South experience might look different. And one of the big themes that we try to encourage, our ninth graders to think about right on through to, we're currently working with seniors who are planning for life beyond high school. We want all students to make their Newton South experience their own in a way that meets their individual needs, is satisfying, is fulfilling. And that can be a little bit scary, right? Because that path might not be a path that anyone else has followed, in the identical way. So, again, I share all of this because I talk to many parents and understand that there are lots of feelings that parents of ninth graders might be experiencing, joy and pride, and maybe a little bit of worry. And probably some internal reflection on how the heck did I get to be the parent of a high school student? But your kids have so many opportunities ahead of them along this journey. They're going to grow in ways that you have yet to consider. There are milestones that they're going to achieve that have nothing to do with grades or what their outcomes look like, but that they represent valuable opportunities for growth, not tied to an outcome necessarily, but rather just the life experiences in developing skills like problem solving, persistence, resilience, the awareness and the knowledge that the bumps in the road that students experience in high school and in life far beyond high school are an expected part of life, and that how we respond to them is what's going to define our success. So we'll spend a lot of time talking to students about accepting and expecting that different kinds of struggle are a normal part of the learning and growth process. Students will encounter and engage with new ideas and things that challenge their assumptions and their prior knowledge, all of which is helping to deepen their understanding of the world, extend their capacity to take a more objective look at themselves, whether it's in the classroom and their interpersonal relationships. And what we ask is that in our partnership, that we work together to make sure that our students aren't fearing the unfamiliar and rather sort of lean into it with curiosity. So, we expect that there's going to be some exploration of boundaries, some figuring out, what are the values that I really hold dear as a young adult, as I sort of find community outside of my home and with my peers. We encourage you to normalize and discuss these kinds of things with your kids. If you're ever, sort of running into those moments where you just need that consultation, that's, an area where the deans, the counselors, we are here working with hundreds of students every year, thousands of students over the many years. It just can be helpful to lean into the partnership that we can bring with a really sort of broad knowledge base of the experiences that our students have and the questions that come up for you and the things that just don't have clear answers, but you just need a partner to sort of work through what is it my kid needs in this moment. So all of that to say, we're really looking forward to spending this time over these next 4 years with your kids, with you. The counseling staff is incredibly experienced and talented. They do academic advising, personal advising. They'll be a consultant for you. They can facilitate difficult conversations. But all of that, really is about just the supportive relationship and partnership that we're looking for as we work together to nurture, independent young adults. I apologize for talking as much as I have. There is one other critically important person that I need to introduce. She is one of our school adjustment counselors who is on the call right now. Specifically with regard to 9th grade families. She's our clinical lead with our signs of suicide, mental health education, and suicide prevention and screening program that you'll be hearing about in a letter shortly. But I would just want to turn it over to Nicole Motley really quickly to introduce herself.
Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to have this time to welcome you to South. We are looking forward to seeing you and working with you. I just would like to make a plug for the Counseling Center, which is different to the College and Career Center. So the Counseling Center is a center that me and 3 other counselors have been working on developing programming for over the last few years. We run groups. Sarah Stile, who introduced herself earlier, is in a dual role of a guidance counselor and school adjustment counselor, and she does a morning reset for kids who come in earlier and need a place to sort of just, get in the space for doing school. We will be sending out information about all the different groups we run, learning how to manage anxiety, whether it's just sort of generalized anxiety for seniors, making that transition to young adulthood and leaving home and going on to college and careers. It's a place where students can come, not to hang out. It's not for, when classes are canceled and they don't know where else to go. It is a place to go and be able to chat and be able to sort of just sort out all the multiple feelings that we know adolescents have. And so we welcome them. We enjoy working with them. And like I said, we look forward to working with your students, and we thank you for entrusting their care with us during the school day. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nicole. And I promise just 2 more names that I'm going to plug, and then I'm going to turn it back over to the deans. But I just also wanted to mention Katani Sumner, our METCO counselor, collaborates very closely with the deans, with the school counselors, serves many, many different roles in our building, and is part of our counseling department. and was not able to join us on the call tonight. And then also, we're really pleased this year to be welcoming a new college and career center counselor for ninth grade families that might not sort of have any real significance at this stage. But for some of our families of our transfer students, Danny is someone that you might have communication with sooner than later. But Danny Hoffman comes to us with a wealth of experience at the higher education level, and most recently working as a college and career counselor at a charter public school here in Massachusetts. And we are thrilled to have him on board. And over time, you'll come to know Mr. Hoffman as well. So now I promise I'm wrapping it up. I'm done. I'm going to hand it off back to the deans.
Okay, I think that's my cue from everybody. But I don't know if we have another slide to show, Jason, if we're just showing the agenda, but here it is, right on cue. Thank you. So this is a review of the house system. Your house includes your deans, guidance counselors, advisory teacher, and our house secretary. And these are the people that are going to be really important for the ninth graders and new to South people to get to know. There's a house system. The school is broken up into 4 houses. You met the 4 deans. It's Cutler, Goldrick, Goodwin, and Wheeler House. So that in each house we have counselors, we have the house secretary, and then each house has advisory teachers. We also have campus aides that, walk the building, and they're engaging, and they're just making sure that they're here. And if kids have questions, that they're just adults in the building that students can engage with. Your house is your home base for your student. It's where they can come ask questions. They need to leave early or check in late. They go to their house secretary. They need a locker. They go to their house secretary. And it's also where their guidance counselors are with any questions on scheduling or whatever else comes up during the day. It's also where the dean is housed. And so if your child needs to see the dean, they can come to the house office. Again, 4 houses, it's their home base. So when you want to contact the school, you go through your house. Building entry. So we want to go to the next one. Jason, please. Building entry in the morning. The doors below are the ones that are open, and some days there's a dean or a campus aides greeting. Every once in a while, we have our fabulous principal and Dr. Banks with music at the main office entrance. So that's always fun. But breezeway doors are open, Wheeler doors in the back of Cutler House. After 9:15, those doors are locked. The students know that there is a code that they can use to get into the doors after 9:15. Jason, next slide. The student needs a locker. They should let their advisory teacher know, and then they really should come down to their house office and let the house secretary know. They are provided with a locker for the school year. We provide a lock for that locker. And again, it's just for the school year, and they can re-up every year that they desire a locker. If the student doesn't have a Chromebook, they can stop by IT. If they don't know where IT is, they can come to the house office and we can have a counselor, or they can talk to a campus aide and we can direct them to where IT is. Every day, students should bring something to write on a charged Chromebook and the Chromebook charger. Please, this is something that comes up very often. I've had 3 of my own, one currently still in high school. Remind them to charge their device, whether it's a Chromebook or whatever, their own personal device, and bring that charger with them. Always bring something to drink. We have wonderful water stations here, a mask if they choose, and other supplies that teachers may have requested. Next slide, Jason. All right, advisory and lion block. Advisory is an important block every Monday. It's a 20-minute block where the students go at the old homeroom. They meet with their advisory teacher, other students. This is where they're going to select their WIN block classes. And we'll get into WIN block in a little bit. But this is where they do that. Again, it's only a 20-minute period. They choose their win block schedule. They may play some games, and then that's it. They're back off to class. So it's like the old homeroom. We call it advisory. Lion block. This is an optional block at the end of Tuesdays. So at the end of the day, it's an optional block. Buses don't come till after Lion, but we strongly encourage students to use this time to join clubs. That's when clubs meet, seek out teachers for academic support. And that will also coincide with whether it's an orange or blue week in terms of what club they want to do. But the Lion block is one of those, it's a block during the day Tuesday where it's an optional block for students, but they can't, if they take a bus, they can't leave the building, but this is the time for them to do clubs and get some extra academic support. Next slide, please. Win. Previously, I mentioned the win block, and that is what I need. All students will be scheduled somewhere during win. We hope that students during advisory will schedule themselves into the win blocks that they would like to go to. It's really, a chance to get extra support, meet with teachers. Also, it could be academic help, and it also could be a chance to connect with teachers. This is not a free block for anyone. There will be rumors that they can leave during win. They cannot. They are to be held accountable during that time, and attendance will be taken. If you or if your child has a question about win block, feel free to reach out to your dean or counselor. Next slide, Jason. Attendance standard. I believe that is Dr. Mark Banks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Delacanjo. Hi again, everyone. Like I said, Mark Banks, Dean of Goldrick House. I'm going to take you through the attendance standard. It can be a little bit confusing. Please don't worry if you don't get everything right away. And you are always more than welcome to reach out to any of the deans or the guidance counselors. This is our 3rd year of the attendance standard, so we've gotten to know it pretty well. So with that being said, Jason, let's see what we can do. All right, so the attendance standard was created to make sure that students were coming to class after the pandemic. As you know, many students were struggling to get to class. So the Newton Public Schools put into place this attendance standard to really put guardrails on making sure students get to class. And as we explained, I don't know if we mentioned this, but these slides, by the way, we have shown to the students by house and by grade. So on Tuesday was the 9th graders. On Wednesday was the 11th graders, and today was the 10th graders, and we'll be showing this to the seniors tomorrow. And what we said to the students is, as the attendance goes up in class, grades tend to go up. So there is a correlation between the two, and the deans have found over the last couple of years, this has been very helpful in making sure students get to class and stay in class. So with that said, the attendance standard is reported on the report card as a Y or an N, a yes or a no. Either you've met the attendance standard with a yes, or you have not met the attendance standard with a no. And in order to get a yes, a student must have 5 or fewer total absences in a course. And we'll start talking about excused and unexcused absences. But long story short, just think 5 is the cutoff. So 6 is the magic number that will get you to a no on the attendance standard. For unexcused absences, a lot of times students might call that like I cut class. So a cut class will be an unexcused absence. If you have 3 or more unexcused absences, that will lead to a no for the term. Okay. So ultimately, we just want your students in class, right? So the numbers will get a little fuzzy as I give you some more numbers, but ultimately make sure they are getting to class. And if a student is going to be absent, you have to fill out the Google attendance form, which will be in a couple of slides. So I will talk about that. So the guardrail on one side is 6 for total absences, 3 for unexcused absences. On the other side, the other guardrail is the number 13. So if for some reason your student misses more than 12 classes, when they reach the 13th absence, it is an automatic no for the term. I will discuss in a minute how there are ways to make up for missed classes, because it's really about that missed time, and we want our students to earn the education that they deserve here in the Newton Public Schools. But we also have to say that if you miss a certain number of classes, it just is a no for the term. Jason, can you go to the next slide? All right, so what is the attendance standard for the year? On the report card, at the end of the year, you will receive either a yes or a no that you've met the attendance standard for the year. In our 4 terms, if you have earned a yes in at least 3 of the 4 terms, then you have a yes for the year. So the Newton Public Schools understands that there might be a term where a student might get sick or something might happen or just there's an unforeseen circumstance. So 1 no in a term is okay. I will say 99.9% of my Goldrick students passed the attendance standard for the year. They did receive 1 no for a term, but all was well. I promise you that the deans and guidance counselors will be in touch if there is any concerns about your students not meeting the attendance standard for the year, right? The only way you can earn a no for the year is really getting a no in all 4 terms, okay? If you receive, let's say, and I'll get to it on the next slide, I believe, but if you receive more than 1 no, you might receive reduced credit. I will talk about that. But ultimately, it is really difficult to receive a no for the year. And once again, deans and guidance counselors will always be in touch if we have any concerns about the attendance. When it comes to semester courses, right? Courses meet for 2 terms. So if you earn a yes in both terms, you earn a yes for the year. If you earn a no in both terms, you earn a no for the year. So you're thinking, well, what if I earn 1 yes and 1 no? Well, that's when deans and guidance counselors are reaching out to you, talking with your student to figure out ways to make up for the time missed. So you can earn full credit in that semester course, or we can talk about reduced credit in that semester course. And in quarter courses, right, or term courses, you might hear us go back and forth between quarter and term. Essentially, if you earn a yes for the term, you're good. If you earn a no for the term, then that's a no, and we'll talk about repeating that course. Quarter courses typically are our wellness classes. It's no longer called gym, so we call it wellness here in Newton Public Schools. So if you earn a no in that term, then we will put you in another wellness class and then for the next term, and then hopefully you will earn a yes in the next term. Okay, Jason. All right, so full year courses, if you don't meet the attendance standard for 2 or more terms, you're going to receive reduced credit. Once again, the only way to receive no credit is if you get a no in all 4 terms. Our full year courses are out of 12 credits. So if you think about it, think about 12 divided by 4, that is 3 credits per term. So with each passing term where you receive a passing grade and you pass the attendance standard, you have earned 3 credits for that term, and you're working your way towards the 12 credits for the year. If you are in danger of receiving reduced credit, once again, and you're going to hear this over and over again tonight, the deans and counselors will be in touch with you. We will come up with a plan to make sure students are earning full credit for their courses. If you are, if you are in a semester course, and you don't meet the attendance standard for 1 term, we could talk about reduced credit. But once again, we can figure out ways to come up with plans so you receive full credit for that semester course. And once again, term courses, something like wellness, that's a one-shot deal, but we can put you in another wellness course for the next term. Next slide, Jason. All right. Actually, before I go on to tardiness, I do want to say that the Newton Public Schools, we've separated at the high school level attendance from grade, right? So you can still earn an A in a class, but if you haven't met the attendance standard, that's where the credit kicks in, okay? When it comes to tardiness, students should not be tardy to class, right? But sometimes that happens. And so if a student is late more than 5 times, anywhere between 0 minutes and let's say 29 minutes, then a teacher will mark the student tardy. They will assign consequences. Usually it's a teacher detention. But after the 5th time, so time number 6, that's when the teacher lets the dean know. And then one of the deans will follow up with you and the student. If your student is 30 or more minutes late to class, then it is teacher discretion of whether they will mark that student as tardy or absent unexcused, right? So as we explained to the students during the house grade assemblies, it really is, there's no reason why you should be 30 minutes late to class without some sort of note. One would hope that you were with a counselor or a dean, potentially with another teacher or with a liaison. But otherwise, if you are late, then there's an expectation that you might be marked absent unexcused. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have more than 2 or on your 3rd unexcused absence, that will be a no for the term. Next slide, Jason. So what is your role in all of this? Well, in order to make sure we are taking attendance and keeping up with attendance, the state does require that all absences have a written notification. So at the high school level, that is done through the Google form. So you might hear your child saying, hey, can you please fill out this Google form for me? Please make sure that Dr. Banks gets it. So the Google form goes to the House secretaries. And so if you can fill that out by 11 a.m. on the day your child is going to be out or potentially dismissed from school or come in late to school, please feel free. Please make sure that you fill that out by 11 a.m. And then the House secretaries go in and they put the attendance in Aspen. If you're going to be excused for a single block in the middle of the day, we do require that you provide a note from a doctor or a legal professional. So that can be submitted via the Google form as well. You can just take a picture of it and there's a little upload link and you can use it as an attachment. If for some reason you're not able to access the Google form for whatever reason, I know sometimes Wi-Fi goes out, wireless goes out, whatever happens at your home. If it needs to come in the next day, that is fine, but we're just asking that it is within 24 hours of whichever absence, tardiness, or dismissal is coming. Next slide, Jason. And what happens if you don't meet the attendance standard? So as I mentioned, there are many ways that that a student can make up for the time missed in class. And once again, nothing will come as a surprise to you. The deans are meeting often with the counselors. We are in touch with the teachers. There should be no surprises when it comes to the attendance standard. Some of the ways that that time can be made up is through teacher detention. So the teacher said, you missed my class, you cut my class, you're going to go come do a dean's win, come do a win with me. You could do a dean's win. So if WIN is what I need, the deans will say WYN, this is what you need. And we will assign you to your teacher to make up for that time. You could do morning detentions. There could be lunch detentions. We do have Saturday school now where students can come in on a Saturday morning and make up for the time that is missed from class. Or there is the possible loss of credit. Once again, if there is that loss of credit, we can make up for that through either having your student repeat the course next year or through summer school or some sort of summer option, right? So once again, I know you're probably thinking 1,000 questions, which is A-okay. It's a lot of information. It's like sipping from a fire hydrant. Just know and no on the attendance standard will not come as a surprise. You will have heard from your dean or counselor. So like I said, a lot of information, but we will let you know if your child is, if there's a concern of your child not meeting the attendance standard. We're 3 years in and the deans have actually been batting almost 100%, making sure students get all their credit. So with that being said, I believe I am passing it on to Ms. Brown, Dean of Goodwin House.
Thank you, Dr. Banks. And I am going to talk a little bit about the role of the dean. And I think you've heard Dr. Banks, Mr. Del Condro, Dr. Martin from Wheeler House talk about the collaboration part that the dean plays in your student's life at Newton South High School. So why would your student ever come and meet a dean, or what would be the purpose? There are a lot of different reasons, but we really look as another resource for your students when they're at Newton South High School. We will work with them, help them with teachers, help them with counselors. We will talk to you. We make sure that things are going well for them. There are times when we need to have some interventions if there's some behavior that may not meet the norms and under our rights and responsibilities of the Newton Public Schools. And that will include the what you need blocks, those win blocks with the deans, sometimes a lunch or morning detentions, Saturday school. But that will all come with communication from us to home. So you will know what's happening with your student at school. I know I was new last year, so sometimes I would just pull a student in just to get to know them. Because it was really important for me to get to know the students of Goodwin House. So don't be surprised if your student met with the dean. If there was a concern, we will always communicate with home to make sure that you understand what is going on. So one thing, and I'm going to go to the next slide, that you may notice that is different for your students if they're coming from middle school or from other schools is some of our limited open campus and our canceled class. So for ninth graders, all students should see something scheduled for every block, and it will be a class, an elective, a wellness class, a cooking class, your English class, your French class, or a directed study. And that is a study time where students are assigned with a teacher in a location and they are able to get work done, get some help. For ninth graders, if a teacher is absent on Schoology or Parent Square, there will be a notification and students are expected to go into the lecture hall where attendance will be taken. They need to stay in school. We talk a lot about safety and making sure that the students are safe, so we need to know where they are. And we spoke to all students about that. So ninth graders are not allowed to leave campus. They're not allowed during some of those spaces to go to other places within the building without an adult knowing. For those students who are new to South, they might notice in their schedule there's an open block, and that is a free block for them to choose where they want to go and where they want to be. So, you know, you will see that. If you have questions specifically about the schedule or what it looks like, please call the counselor, dean. You know, if your child saying, I can leave at this time and you're not sure, please feel free to reach out to the counselor or the dean to just answer those questions for you. The next slide, please. So some of our student spaces where we have students together in those free blocks for the upperclassmen and during lunch blocks for the ninth graders and upperclassmen are our commons. So three of the houses have common areas where it's a space for students to meet, get together. That's in Goldrick House, Goodwin House, and Wheeler House, so that students will have lunch there. For free blocks, students may spend time there. We call our cafeteria our student center because it's more than just a cafeteria. There's a lot of things that happen in that space. So students will go there as well. We also have space for students to sit in the auditorium lobby and the field house lobby. And then the library has spaces, and our librarians do an amazing job of creating spaces for students. There are group areas where students can work together. There's also quiet areas where students can just focus on getting their work done. But these are the spaces where we have students getting together. And as we explain to students, or I explain to our houses, it's around safety and making sure we know where students are. So if anything ever were to happen, we would know where they are. We know the spaces they are at. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so one thing that's we ask students not to do, and we're working with students not to do, is our hallways and eating. So really the spaces that I just mentioned are where our students should be eating during the lunch block. They can eat outside. There's some beautiful spaces outside the building in a courtyard area near our student center. But they're really not supposed to eat other places in the building. So we don't want them sitting on the hallway floor. It's not the most sanitary, it's dirty, people are walking. So those spaces are not for eating or getting in, you know, just spending time together. So there's no hanging out in the hallways, eating in the hallways, or sitting on the floor. We don't want to interrupt the learning that's happening in the instructional spaces in the classroom. Those spaces in the hallway are also an extension of the classroom. There are a lot of times teachers will have students do group work and they're using those spaces. So again, we'd like students to be in the spaces that are provided for them. Next slide, please. So speaking of food, lunches and breakfasts are free. The state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has provided free lunch and breakfast for students. And they go to the register and they use that. There's other food for students to get. And that is an option for them to do on their own. And if I go to food, this is what would be free for the students. So if we can go to the next slide, just some of the requirements for the breakfast and lunch. We have fruit, grain, milk. So if we're getting a free lunch, students have the option of picking a fruit or a vegetable. They can have two of the following: a meat option, non-meat option, milk, grain. So that is what's considered a free lunch for students. There's different items that they could purchase on their own, but that's not included in the free lunch that's provided by the state. Can I have the next? So just a reminder, our cafeteria, and as we work on being respectful of our staff. If getting your meal, if you have some questions about anything that's happening, please follow up with your dean. We will talk to you and your family to make sure that everything that you are getting the food that you need at a timely manner. But again, please reach out to your dean if you have any questions about that. All right, so I'm next going to talk about ordering food. So the Newton Public School Committee created a policy about food deliveries at school, and doing any food delivery at a school is prohibited for students. Families, caregivers are more welcome to drop off food and snack for students, but having deliveries coming to the schools are prohibited. That again is a safety. We're really always very concerned about our student safety and making sure that we're managing who is coming in and out of our campus. We really want to limit that to the people who are part of our South community and not bringing in drivers from different locations. So we've talked to students about it, and we are working with them and addressing that with them. And if you have specific questions, please feel free to reach out to the dean of the house that your child is in. But there is to be no food deliveries at school. So I believe now I am turning it over to the Wheeler House Dean, Dr. Martin, to talk about cell phones.
Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Martin. I'm the Dean of Wheeler House. There's a new cell phone policy this year set forth by the school committee. We are explaining this to all of your students in our house grade specific meetings. And as Dr. Banks said earlier, we've already met with the 9th, 11th, and 12th graders, and we'll meet with the 12th graders tomorrow to explain this new policy too. But cell phones must be placed in holders at the start of each class and stay there during the entire class. So they'll be in those like shoe holders that are hanging on the doors in each classroom. And if a student asks to go to the bathroom or the nurse, the phone would remain in the classroom. They wouldn't be able to take it with them to those places, and they'd get it after. This applies during all blocks, A through G block, WIN block, which as Ted Delacondro explained is the What I Need block, what the students signed up for earlier in the week. During their advisory, which is the 20-minute period on Mondays in which they sign up for their WIN blocks later in the week. Directed studies, which 9th graders would have, because if you recall what Caitlin Brown was saying, they don't have canceled classes if they're in forgive me, they wouldn't have free blocks if they're a 9th grader. And then the canceled classes. So if a teacher was absent and they were sent to the lecture hall to do the canceled class, they wouldn't be allowed to use their phone either. The Chromebooks that each student will have and their laptops are only to be used when the teacher says to do so. So if a teacher told a student, you don't need your Chromebook right now to take notes, the student would be expected to put it away, and then the teacher would instruct the student if they actually needed to have it to take notes or follow along in a PowerPoint or something along those lines. During WIN blocks, sometimes students sign up for their English WIN block and they go and they do their work there, and then they ask the teacher, hey, can I go see my math teacher because I could do 2 subjects in this? They are permitted to leave that first original WIN block to go see the next one. But if they were to do that, they would need to keep their phone in the original room for which they signed up. And then they would get it at the end. And they would stay in the classroom holder. The teacher can always see the classroom cell phone holders the entire time. Jason, the next slide, please. Thank you. So if for some reason the student is struggling with this policy, we've set up a progressive discipline plan to help them and support them in their efforts to meet the new standard. So if a student makes a mistake and the first time they have the phone out when they're not allowed to, the teacher will take the phone from the student, leave it at the front of the room, and return the phone immediately at the end of the class. And the teacher will privately speak with the student, kind of explain and remind the student of the new standard and what the expectations are. And the teacher will reach out to home caregiver, parent, or guardian and just explain what happened and encourage everybody to remind the student of the new policy. If it happens again, if it's a second instant, the teacher will take the phone from the student and put it in the cell phone box that'll be in the house offices, and the student can come and get the phone at the end of the day. So that would be 3:45 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or 2:35 on Tuesday, the end of our school day. And the teacher will communicate with home, the counselor, and dean and explain, hey, this was the second time this happened. Perhaps we could support the student around this so that they could remember and follow the rules. The dean would assign a consequence in line with our progressive discipline, which are many of the things that Caitlin and Mark spoke about earlier. And then if the third or beyond incidents happen, the teacher would send the student to the dean with the phone. The dean would keep the phone for the remainder of a day, assign a consequence in line with the progressive discipline, and contact home to explain that this is becoming a bit of a pattern. And the dean with the family, with the guidance counselor, with the liaison, and of course with the student would come up with a sort of an individualized technology success plan to help them meet that standard. Next slide, please. So the elevators, we do have elevators in the building. We say to students that really to use the elevator, they need to have a valid pass that makes sure that people who need the elevator for mobility reasons or for health reasons or things that they have on particular plans are able to do so. We are happy to go through all of this with them. One guest is permitted to assist with carrying materials if a student is in a brace for an injury and they need somebody to carry something for them. But this is for safety, and they're the rules of the school and the fire department and the city officials. A maximum of 5 people are allowed in the elevators. Please do not hold the elevator doors open. This practice ensures efficient operation and prevents damage because, again, we do need these elevators to work for many of our citizens of the school. Most students are very receptive to listening to us when we say, excuse me, do you really need to use this right now? Or do you have a path? Or could you please not use this so that the elevator doesn't get stuck on one floor when somebody who genuinely needs it is on another? But if students do choose to use it when they're not permitted to do so, we have a first offense would be a Saturday school, a second offense would be a 1-day in-school suspension, and the third offense would be a 2-day in-school suspension, because we really do to make sure that this function is working in the building and accessible to the people who need it. Thanks, Jason. Next slide, please. So we have a rights and responsibilities handbook that's very specific with the rules that we have to enforce in the school. And we don't take time through this presentation to read every single one of them, but one that we do every year is about taking pictures or recording others. We think it's really important for students to remember it, and we're saying it to you, the caregivers and parents and guardians, so that you can help students navigate this and remember this as well. An important note from our rights and responsibilities handbook is, and I quote, taking a picture and or creating a video or audio recording of another person in school or at a school-sponsored event without obtaining the consent of the person whose image or voice was recorded will result in disciplinary action, end quote. And this is because this could be constituting bullying or cyberbullying. If somebody has not given his, her, or their consent to have their likeness, their voice, or their image presented, we really can't permit that in a school setting or school-sponsored event. So please help us in supporting us to remind your students about that one. Next slide, Jason, please. So some students might be so excited about the start of the school year, really looking forward to being back. Others might be quite nervous. We tell kids every day to please be conscious of their friends, let us know if they're worried about anything, if they see something, we want them to come to their guidance counselor or their dean. Somebody asked one question, when should a kid come to their dean? I always say in times of struggles or successes, and if their friends are struggling or succeeding. So let us know what's going on with them so we can help. We would never tell a student who told us that they were worried about their friend, but we certainly want them to know that there's supports in the building. There's an incredibly robust guidance department. There's so many phenomenal adults in the building who can support, and the deans and the guidance counselors can't help if we don't know. So please encourage your student to use us to help them and their friends and classmates. Next. So some interesting and fun things that are coming up in our school are also our student government. We have class office, which is, class officers and president, vice president, and other class officers. And then we also have South Senate, which is sort of like the legislative body, so to speak, for the rules or ideas or policies that students sometimes bring forth to hopefully implement. The rising ninth graders are going to be having elections for South Senate and class office in the next few weeks, and we'll be sending lots of information. We've even shared the timeline. I'll share it with you in a moment. With your students earlier this week rather. But each class has faculty advisors. So the 9th grade class is Miss Kelly Fitzgerald and Miss Sarah Millette. And the South Senate advisor is Miss Lisa Mix. So this is the timeline for the election schedule for the 9th graders. So the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders had their elections in the spring, so they could really hit the ground running in the fall, but obviously the 9th graders weren't here yet, so we do it immediately in the fall. This will be published in a number of places, so if your student didn't get this immediately or during the slideshow we shared with them on Tuesday, don't worry, we will certainly be bringing it back to them many times. But in the meantime, if your student has any questions about running for South Senate or running for class office, please tell him or they to come and see any one of us, and we will give them this or point them in the right direction or help them run and get involved. It's a wonderful way to get involved with South and to meet students from all over the building. And last but certainly not least, we have 4 core values that are plastered all over the building. Choose kindness, listen first, show respect, and take responsibility. Your students will hear this all throughout high school. Truly, if they follow those 4 standards, core values, they really can't go wrong. And we reiterate it over and over again. So last advice that the 4 of us, Teddy, Mark, Caitlin, and I often give is find your person. Who's the adult in the building that you trust? Is it a coach? Is it a campus aide? Is it a custodian? Is it one of us? Try new things. Take a stab at taking that interesting course that you've never taken before. Join that club you didn't know you were interested in. Take care of yourself and your friends first and foremost. And see a trusted adult if you need help, academics, socially, anything, we're here to help. I think that's it, Jason. Thank you so much.
That was the last slide. Yep.
Hi, everyone. Tammy Stras again. Our head of counseling also just dropped the counselor contact information in the chat to everybody who, just for your information, it looks like we've answered all of our questions in the chat. It is almost 8 o'clock. We maybe have 30 seconds for one more burning question if you come up with one. If not, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I know we've said this before, there was a lot of information that was thrown at you tonight. So please feel free to reach out to your child's counselor, your child's dean, your child's teacher, depending on the kind of question that you have. We are happy to answer all of your questions for you. We are here to help. Newton South is a big place to navigate, but it is our jobs to make it easier for you and your child to navigate. So feel free to reach out anytime. I'm sorry, Cindy, I thought we did answer that question for you. There will be a feature that is set up through, I believe, Parent Square that will notify you automatically if your child is marked absent. So that should be all set. All right, everybody, it is 8 o'clock. Thank you so much again for attending. Again, if you need anything, please reach out to the appropriate person. Thank you.